All right, I'm about to go mow an acre or two with the 97 here and a quick attach brush mower. See how this thing's been. It's been sitting in the grass field for about probably a year now. So I got to check the fluid, make sure it's not leaking any fluid out of it so I don't destroy the bearings when I go to run this thing. But we're just straight mowing weeds and grass, nothing more than that. Now, something to understand on these skid steers here. This is a 97. So the 65, the 75, the 95, and the 97 all are pretty much the same machine. In the aspect as airflow. So they all have this area here where everything, all these sticks and stuff get trapped. So the fan sucks through this way and blows out the back. So the only areas that this gets airflow is right in here. These two vents, the intercooler up top, and the same style on the other side. So when you get all these sticks in here, like I have, it knocks down the airflow. So that makes the engine run hotter. So it's better to clean all this stuff out. I need to clean all this out before I go mowing. There is a door down here, and there's plates underneath this machine where you unbolt all that and then get all this crap out of here. But I'll do this before I go mowing. I also need to grease all the fittings here. Dirt everywhere. But that's how these things cool. Air goes in through here and it comes out the back. This is the amount of stuff that I just pulled out of this side. See, there's still a bunch of dirt here. It needs to come out. But if you can barely see in there where the hydraulic lines are, that's where the airflow goes. So on the left part and very, very bottom, there's another hole down there where the hydraulic lines come through. That's where the airflow goes through here and then out the back. Same thing over here. Airflow right there, and at the very bottom, see all the dirt and gunk? I just pulled all this out of that side. There's a whole lot more of that underneath the belly pan of this thing. So to get to that, you open the doors, lift this up, pull the radiator out a little bit, and then you get underneath it, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 plates that you unbolt. It's your 17 millimeter. Those drop down and you can get all the gunk out of there. And then on mine, there's a radiator fan, and there's a radiator fan shroud and a screen that I put on there. So you just pull the screen out, clean it off, put it back. If you don't have that screen, what happens is all these sticks that go in here hit that fan, and the fan shoots them into the radiator, and it damages the radiator. So that screen is very crucial on this machine. Because I've replaced a radiator under insurance, and it was like $2,200. Very expensive. If you ever find yourself in the need of a brush mower, Quick Attach sells this model, and it's called a Brush Buster. Now this is a 2019 year model, and it has a floating deck, so this whole thing floats with the ground. And I will show you how it works in a little bit, but right now I had to pull out the plug here, and it is low on oil, so I'm gonna have to add some oil to it. These motors here are absolute trash. They're garbage. And the reason I say that is there's only 4 bolts that hold this whole entire brush mowing deck up and into that gearbox. So when you hit stuff, it flings the blades around and it damages the bearings and the seals inside this unit. And the bolts are very small. They're only, I think, 12 millimeter head. And actually this is a 14 millimeter, but the bolt that's going in there is it's pretty small. But everything is just held up from the bottom up. These bolts here for the gear drive, there's only 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, over time of use, which this is actually the second time I've used this actual motor, because the first one died, these bolts get loose and they come out, and then all the oil comes out of here, and then you don't even know it, but it drops this whole bearing carrier and it destroys the gears and the bearings in it. The only thing, I mean, if possible, I would recommend redesigning this with at least 4 more bolts, because even after I pull these out, clean it all out, air it out, and then Loctite them with red Loctite, they still get loose just from the vibration and the use of it. So every 30 minutes I have to lift the blade carrier up off the ground and check to see if these bolts have come out. I lost one yesterday. I actually replaced all 4 of these bolts here because the ones that came with it just are bent now. They're bent, they're stripped. As you know, I mean, brush mowing, whatever, you're gonna hit rocks. I've hit rocks, and I know that also takes a toll on this unit, but I think 4 extra bolts would definitely help out. Other than that, I mean, it works good. So when those bearing bolts come out, everything drops down. So what they needed to do is build this the opposite way. So everything goes in this way, and they could have built this stronger and bigger. See, this has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts that hold this part on. If they'd have built this bigger, fatter, they could have put 6 bolts on this holding everything down, and you'd probably never have an issue. But they built it up, and I've had to replace that gearbox like 4 times. I've replaced this 3 times because this part here that goes on, the original one was just a keyed, so it had I'll show it later. These are the motors that were originally on the brush mower. One of them they replaced under warranty. The second one I had to pay for. But as you can see, the keyway would be there and there, and it would just destroy this when you would hit a rock or something. This bolt is supposed to snap in order not to destroy this, but it didn't always break. The key is actually still in this one. The new one is splined, so there's little teeth on it instead of this circle and that, because this is the only thing that was holding everything together here. This piece, but a key, held this on, and then this bolt. I've broken this bolt probably 3 or 4 times. Every time you smack a rock or something you can't see in the grass, it snaps that bolt usually. And what happens is sometimes that bolt will just be down here laying, and you don't know that it broke because there's a cover on this. So what happened to me a couple times is it was just spinning, and it kind of welded itself together here, and then it would break the weld when you would hit something hard, and it would just kind of just create a ton of friction, enough to catch this all on fire. So I saw smoke coming out one day, so I had to yank this off and put the fire out. I've had that happen a couple times. So this is, I've never had this mower catch a fire by the blades. I've only had the fire caught by the motor here. See, on this mower, they call this the stump jumper right here. I've had to replace this. I've replaced this whole entire ring. See, it's all kind of beat up because you'll hit rocks and it'll bend it in, and then over time, these blades, when you hit a rock or something, the blades will go crazy and they will rip this whole entire thing out. And I've also had the blades cut into this. So I've installed this piece right here. This I put in. This piece I also put in. Behind that is the original piece, and it's been cut out this much. So there's one bolt that holds this on, one nut, and then there's 4 little bolts that hold the whole gearbox up. And over time of hitting rocks or big old logs or whatever you find on the ground, this starts to get loose because all those 4 little bolts that are holding the stump jumper on all up, it just shakes everything apart. So all the bolts get loose, all the oil drains out, and then all your bearings get shot. So I added one, I don't know what it is, like a 1 quart, 2 quart thing of oil. One of these, I added one of these plus about a half of this. And now I can go use it. So when you go looking at these things, you gotta really look at everybody else's, because look how thin this metal is. Super thin. This you only want to cut weeds and grass and anything up to like 2 inches. See, there's also a crack right here I gotta fix. But you can only do so much with this. See how bent that is? Because when you're riding this on the ground, sometimes you'll hit a bump or whatever, and it'll put pressure on the actual arm of this, and it'll bend this down. This whole section will bend down, and that's what it's done over the time. They rate this mower to cut up to like 6 inches. I wouldn't do anything past like 3. Anything over that, you're just gonna end up killing this thing really fast. So if you want something that's gonna be cutting grass, and you want something that's gonna be cutting like super thick stuff, you're gonna wanna have 2 brush mowers. This is a standard duty, nothing heavy duty on this at all. And then you're gonna want another brush mower strictly for the heavy duty stuff. Like I can take a tree down up to 8 inches with this thing. This thing's heavy duty. Super heavy. It's got a blade carrier here. It's got, I think, 3 or 4 blades that come out of this little area here. And a stump jumper. Look how big that motor is. Look how big the gearbox is. It's huge. This is a high flow model. So you could do high flow or low flow, or standard flow. But this is not good for cutting grass. It doesn't do very good at all cutting grass. The tip speed on the brush mower over there, the quick attach, the blades are like 2 foot, 3 foot long. So it's like just a giant mower that you're sitting on. This thing is not. It'll cut it up to 8 inches, like this tree. I could probably just cut this whole thing up with it, up to like this point. But anything over than that, you're gonna want a mulcher, or just cut it and put it through a grinder or burn it or something like that. Get rid of the wood. Because if you don't need to cut it up then with a brush mower, then probably shouldn't, because you're gonna damage your equipment. You're gonna cost yourself money. And I haven't damaged this thing yet, and I hope I never do. When you go to buy one of these mowers, you gotta do all your reviews and watch all the other videos of other people's machines, because this is a great machine if you're just cutting grass and weeds. Maybe stuff up to like 2 to 3 inches, that's it. If you do anything bigger than that, you're gonna destroy this mower, and you're just gonna hate yourself for buying it, like I do. So I've beaten the crap out of this. I've done way more than I should with it. So that's why I know that the whole 6-inch cut that they allow you to do with this is not something you want to do. If you're going to be doing that all day, you're going to want to get something heavy duty. This is perfect for grass and weeds, and anything up to like 2 to 3 inches. That's it. Nothing more. This is the field that I always mow, and it's only like a couple minutes from my house. But luckily they got stuck here with something. So there's a big hole out there somewhere. I gotta remember where it's at, but it's not too hard to find. Mow this area, and that's it. So I'm mowing this area here, and I've got it set on float. So it's set on float. You just press all the way down with this controller and press the trigger, and it puts you in flow mode. So as you're going along with the mower here, the arms are going up and down with the mower, with the way of the land. So all I'm having to do is go forwards, backwards, and turn. I don't have to lift the blade carrier up at all. This whole deck, I don't have to lift it unless I want to turn. So see, there's some stuff right here I don't want to run over. We're going to back up. We're going to go around it. This is the best mower by far that I have found for cutting grass and weeds. But anything other than that, I don't recommend it. I really don't. This is about as good as it gets. Now it is best to have at least one hand near the second controller joystick here, because if you hit something big and hard like a rock or something, you want to be able to pull back on the joystick here and get the mower deck off the ground, because if you don't, you're just going to cause more damage at whatever you're hitting. And I also like to cut at least a foot over on the right side of wherever I'm mowing, just so I know that I've got a little bit of an overlap, so I'm not missing any grass here. You also always need to keep an eye on the temperature gauge here, because even though we're pretty much, oh, there's the hole. I fell in the hole. That's all right. All right, I'm out of the hole now. You always got to keep an eye on it, because you don't want to overheat this motor and cost yourself a motor. And especially when you're doing this in the dry weather, that's when it gets really bad, because then you got all the dust and the pollen. And if you're mowing blackberry bush, it's even worse. It's got like little hairs and stuff on the blackberry bush, and that stuff will clog a radiator real fast. See, these are the kind of things you don't want to hit, but you never know if they're there or not. Big piece of steel pipe here. This wasn't here in the past, otherwise I had moved it. So I'm gonna throw it down over there, and then I'll continue. I did this with the SVL 75 last year, and it does not cut the grass as well as the 97. The flow is just not as good. Even going standard flow, it's just not as good. And something that really sucks is this. This goes up there, and it makes sure the door is latched. So this just broke off. I'm not sure how I'm gonna get that out. I'm gonna have to hopefully drill a hole in there. Oh man, that sucks. Drill a hole inside there and try to get that piece out. Or just put this up there and just weld it on there. You know, I might just do that, because I don't know what I'm gonna do actually. Oh, shoot. Because now dust and stuff's going to get in here. Luckily there's no dust, but I mean, if I don't fix this, I'm going to have dust coming in. I might just weld it in place, because I can't re-screw it in there, because it obviously broke off. So yay, figure that out later. So I called the dealer and they have the part, but it's used. This is the part. This is $74. So new is 74, used is 30. So I'm just gonna go down there. This is actually under warranty, but that means I would have to take the machine to the dealer when they're available and then let it sit for however long and then go back and get it, or I could just go get the part and fix it myself somehow. I don't know how I'm gonna fix it just yet, but it's easier doing that than having to do the warranty stuff. So I'm gonna take the bike out, go get the part. It's like 30-40 minutes from here. I don't feel like taking the car, I don't feel like taking the truck. This bike's been just sitting here for months, so it might not even start, so we'll see. See if it starts or not. This thing's been having an issue with the battery, so I might just end up taking the car anyways. Super loud, but she runs. See, I used to hate Harleys. I was like, oh man, they're so loud, they're annoying, which they are. But the reason I bought this is my friend had one, and I've had one in the past, but it kind of reminds me of the old school military motorcycles because it's low and the tires are big in the front. That's the only reason I bought it, because I'm really just too tall for this bike. My hips start to hurt when I'm riding it, but I start to get a cramp in my hips, but oh well. These are the parts. The one on the right is obviously the broken one. So I only have that much left to drill out of here, but it's kind of hard to get to because this bracket right here is in the way, so I don't have a really good angle to get in there. So I think I'm going to drill a little bit more. I tried to put something in there to bring it out, but it's not. So I'm gonna try to hammer one side of it up because it's already pretty skinny now, and hopefully I can get that piece out with like a chisel or something. Okay, so I feel like it's pretty much impossible to get the little piece out of there. It's hard to see, but it's right on the edge there. Right there. I've tried knocking it out. I've tried doing all kinds of stuff. It does not want to come out. So what I did is I ground down this piece here, and I'm just gonna put it in there as far as it will go, and then I'm going to weld it in there on just one side here, just like that in there. I'm gonna screw it in as far as it'll go, and then I'm just gonna weld it. And if I ever have to replace it with the other one that I have, then I will just grind the weld and weld the new one on there, because this is taking me too long to get it right. And it's just, if I use a bigger drill bit, I'm just going to end up boogering up more and augering out this hole, and it won't be round anymore. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to put this in as far as it'll go and then weld it. That's it. All right, I got it all ground down. I tried to drill it out, but it kept going off to the left, so I'm not going to do that anymore. I've got the bolt sitting up here. Since this has a Lexan glass door to it, I'm pretty sure weld marks can get onto it pretty easily. So I did put some cardboard up here. I've covered up the seat. Can't really see it, but I covered up all the electronics. I don't want to get welding splatter all over anything important. So the roof here is metal. Up here it's got foam, but I'm going to be right here, so I'm not worried about all that other stuff. I might get a rag and just cover this just in case, and then we will weld that in. I'm just going to tack it in, and that's it, because I'm not going to put it, it doesn't need to be welded all the way around because the door comes this way and slams against it. So there's no point in really welding it here. It needs to be on this side. Plus, for later on, I don't want to have to worry about trying to grind it off there, because it's a lot easier on this side than it is the other side. All right, it's all tacked on right there. I'm probably gonna do a little bit more, but I'm gonna make sure this door shuts first. So let's just shut the door here. Okay, all right, it's good. The thing about these things, before I go any further, is since these tractors shake so much, the Kubotas, these doors will pop up on you. So if you're ever mulching, sometimes this door will pop up on you. I've actually had it where I was leaning forward and the door popped open and hit me in the head. I've had that probably happen a couple times, but it does happen. And this is, I think it's 1/2 inch thick, Lexan. I've had things hit it. As you can see, there's big scratches and gouges, but definitely need this thing to open and close when I need to. So yeah, I'll probably just tack a little bit more there. I'm gonna clean it up with a wire brush and just tack it one more time just so it's safe, because I don't need that thing over time breaking off or me slamming the door like that, because that's how you gotta slam these doors to make sure they latch correctly. The only good thing is you can leave these doors up, and there's this little pin here and a pin there. You just flop out into its spot and it'll lock the door up in a way so you don't have to worry about falling down on your head. I've had that happen. So all right, tack the top part and then we'll be good. That's it. Okay, I've got both brush mowers here side by side. I've got the Caterpillar brand here and I've got the Quick Attach here. Now you can see the difference in metal thickness. You've got this, which is just a lip. That's all it is. And then you got this super skinny metal here as the top plate. See, I've hit stuff here and bent this in. It's pretty banged up. I gotta beat that out and make it straight again, but I'll have to use a sledgehammer or something. But you see, there's the blades. And this cuts like a giant lawnmower. And this one has 4 blades that come out. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4 over there. And it just cuts everything up and it mashes everything up into here and it kind of mulches stuff, but not the greatest. It does not have teeth under here. It has a stump jumper, but no actual teeth. It's got these pieces, which I think are just like weights, just to balance the unit here. Look how thick this thing is. It's huge. And see, Caterpillar went with this thick piece of steel that went around and with these triangular gussets all the way around it to make it even stronger. And just all the metal that they used, it's just a lot stronger, a lot thicker. This plate here is actually, seems the same thickness as what's on here. But they used all this other metal here to make it stronger. Quick Attach didn't do that. They just threw it all together and said, here you go. I've put these on both sides. It's just one tube here and one on each side to stiffen this up. And then I've done gussets. I've done a gusset there, both sides. And on the other side, I've had a crack here happen on both sides. So I've had to put a piece of steel in there and weld it in. I've had this brake, which is actually broken again. As you can see, it's cracked there. I should have put a longer piece on here. See, when I was welding most of this, I was using a stick welder, so it wasn't very good. So, gussets everywhere. Because this actually cracked, and when you lift this thing and lower it, sometimes it hits hard. This part moves, so it slams against this, and it broke the welds here. Or actually just broke the metal, and it started pushing this out. So now that's pretty much good now, but I only use this for grass now. That's it, nothing else. I've never caught a fire underneath this thing with the blades. I have caught like 2 or 3 fires with this one. I think the difference is when these blades hit over here, it kind of stops them and flings them, so there's no real way to keep the sparks going. This thing is so heavy. When you start a spark, it just, like a lawnmower, just keeps going, and it doesn't stop. See, lawnmower blades, they're more like these because they stay out and they are constantly moving. These will get smacked by a rock or whatever, and it'll kind of stop or spin the other way. This does not. This is so heavy duty, it does not stop. You could almost hit a rock with this and it would just keep going. Probably cut the rock into pieces. So I'm going to use it on these trees out here that I have out here that have fallen. So there's like 2 or 3 of them, and we're just going to go into it, and I'm going to measure out 8 inches on there and see how far it will actually cut up to 8 inches. Let's see if it'll do 8-inch or if it will kind of bog down or not really do what it's supposed to do. So this is the neighbor's property. I put this gate here just so I can access it for mowing, and if there's ever a fire, the fire department can just drive right around and in, because sometimes there's so much crap over there you can't even get through. But I've never had a fire here. Only had a fire over at the neighbor's yard over there. Had nothing to do with me, but we're gonna cut up this tree here and that one over there. All right, I'm gonna give you all 3 different camera angles. One at the top of the machine, one inside, and one right here. like this where it can shoot stuff in you, you want to have it kind of flat. Sometimes they'll have chains, but those are like for vultures and stuff. And you obviously never want to have anybody out there around you. This thing will shoot stuff pretty dang on far. Up pretty good, but like little it still leaves sticks and stuff. It's not like a masticator. This will clear land a lot faster, but it won't do as good of a job as in making mulch and stuff. There's some other ones that will mulch. They have like little teeth underneath the stump jumper, but this model doesn't have that. And I didn't pay for this, so I'm not gonna buy it. One with it. This is good enough for me. If you go slow, you can probably do bigger than 8. I think we're about an 8-inch piece right here almost. It's doing a pretty good job, I think. cut all these pieces out. Since it's my tree anyways. Everybody wants to pay the prices of mulcher. Those things are expensive to maintain, all of them.